handle for that. Telegram is just a secure messaging app that is also extremely fast messaging app. So it's kind of like a Slack, but I guess more secure, easier to be anonymous. I'm a little bit of a Telegram novice, so I don't know that I'm the best person to explain it in detail, but yeah, we've got, you'll find like a bunch of different groups on there. Like in our group, for example, we'll discuss our app. We'll discuss things like, what privacy in the context of decentralization and, how wallets should work, how we wish they worked, things like that.
Sure.
But it's just part of it's just an ongoing discussion. If you find like a good community, you can really kind of bond with some of the community members and ask a lot of questions and just learn a ton.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you so much. I'm actually probably going to join your Telegram chat after this.
I hope you do.
Yeah,
I'll be happy to see you there.
Oh, perfect. Because I always love to see what's happening and going on in the space, and particularly so your project. There's a lot of like side things kind of like that going on. One of the first projects that I was starting to work on back in like a year ago was something similar, but then we kind of got sidetracked a lot. So I am excited for somebody just to make the process easier for people to, get involved and also to have all of their coins in one logical location as opposed to having to store, like I've got a few different like accounts. Some are like hard wallets, some are paper wallets. Then there's Coinbase and so yeah, it's nice.
It's complicated.
Yes, it is incredibly complicated, and it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. And the only reason why I figured that was because I had some friends who got involved in a site called Steemit like 2 years ago. And so I posted some articles, and I'm like, hey, I've got the Steemit dollars. What does that mean, and how do I translate that over so I can use it to pay bills? And so like that sent me down this rabbit hole of like, oh my God, I have to get involved into an exchange and like all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So I love that you guys are trying to simplify all that because somebody needs to do that. Are you worried about, so like recently like Fidelity has come out that they're starting to have, like they're going to start translating their services over to the cryptocurrency space, and places like Robinhood, although I think only Robinhood you can only do on the Robinhood app itself, they don't pull together different exchanges. Are you worried about some more mainstream people jumping in and making your platform less, obsolete, I guess is the correct term right now?
I mean, I think you have to always watch out for competition. So that's always a concern, what other companies are doing and making sure that what we're doing is differentiated enough. But so far, I haven't seen anybody taking exactly the approach that we're taking. And we're spending a huge amount of time really on that user experience and making it as easy as possible for people who are not steeped in crypto knowledge. And so far we haven't seen anybody really hit the nail on the head with that. And a lot of companies also, especially if they already have, systems in place and so forth, they're also not as, sometimes they're a little bit limited by what they have already.
Oh, sure.
So, and I would say, a lot of financial products and things out there today, even just in the mainstream finance side, are not the easiest or simplest to understand and to use. So I think there's a lot of improvement that can be made in all areas, both in traditional mainstream apps as well as in crypto apps. And certainly if you've seen any of the companies that kind of deal in crypto now, a lot of them, the user experience is still pretty complicated. So I think there's, a lot that we can do to really improve that experience.
It is, definitely. And I looked at, the shots on your website, and in your UX design is quite beautiful, and it definitely does a really good job of simplifying that experience. So when does I saw that are you guys doing an IPO, or when does your platform and everything else officially launch, and what are you doing to raise, or are you raising money to launch it?
So we're VC backed.
Okay.
Gem has raised already through venture capital.
Okay.
So we're kind of a little different in that, a lot of projects that are coming out today are going the ICO route.
Yeah.
To raise their money, but we don't need to do that. So we're actually focused on building a real product. And yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's also better since I think you guys are in the United States too, so you less have to deal with the SEC nonsense right now.
Right. Yeah, we're in the US. And so we're right now we're getting ready to roll out our beta. We've had friends and family alpha testers in our app, this first portion of it. So we're going to be rolling it out in stages. It'll start with, it's an all-in-one crypto platform. So it'll start with the portfolio piece, and then later this summer we'll follow up with the wallet, and then we've got some other features planned out after that. So I would say the beta, we're going to start rolling out to people over the next several weeks. We already have our wait list in place. So, and certainly add yourself to that wait list if you haven't already. We're at gem.co is where you can get on that wait list. And we'll be rolling it out to smaller groups of people to start. And then as we get feedback and address any issues or whatever, we'll, start rolling it out to larger and larger groups until we've made it through our entire wait list.
Excellent. So I'm on your wait list. I'm number 905. So this will be great.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
I can't wait for it to launch out because I will totally use that. Just because it'll make my life so much easier on so many different ways. Yeah. Yeah,
I'd love to hear your feedback. Once you get that, I'd love to hear what you think and any suggestions you have.
Definitely. We'll definitely talk later on that one. With the experiences you've had and the companies you've worked with, what is some bad advice you hear being said all the time about marketing in general?
Bad advice.
Yeah, like the obvious bad advice that is passed around way too often. Is there bad marketing advice that you're like, oh my God, please stop doing this?
I'm sure there is. I just usually ignore those people. Like, what are you talking about? Stop that.
Right.
I see a lot of people employing some kind of spammy tactics just because they think more is better.
Yeah.
Or throwing dollars and throwing people at problems that's somehow better. But I think really if you can really understand your market and spend time thinking of a clever and creative angle on whatever you do, it can go so much further. I just think a lot of campaigns and stuff that you see out there, they didn't put as much thought into like, how do I make this stand out, and sort of just do, I don't know, campaigns that look like every other campaign you've seen, and then put a lot of money into getting that word out. But
right. In your own experience, have you done much with like social media influencers or YouTube stars or those, I guess, that category of individuals? And if you have, what has been your experience, and has it actually worked for you?
So that's something that we're talking a lot about right now, because I've been on the B2B side. We haven't traditionally gone down that route. But it's something that we've done a lot of talking about now. So I'll be getting a lot more involved in that.
Okay. All right. I guess I got a little head on that one. Okay. No, don't worry. I've had a little bit of experience on it, and I, in the last tech startup I worked with, we were a 3D printed sunglass company. We would 3D scan someone's face, and then from that, translate that into a 3D pair of sunglasses that were perfect for that individual's face. And so I actually got a lot of great results in the traditional public relation side of it, but trying to speak with like Instagram stars about this, I just found that to be difficult to track. So just because that person has like 1 million followers doesn't mean any of those followers are interested in our product at that time. And it's anyway.
Well, and that's where you get into the big influencers versus the micro influencers.
Right.
Because the kind of influencer you're talking about, they do have, maybe millions or hundreds of thousands or even tens of thousands of followers, but because there are so many, they don't necessarily have a personal relationship with all of them. Versus if you're looking at the micro influencers who maybe they have 1,000 followers up to 5,000, let's say, and most likely they're talking to their friends and family. So the level of engagement will be higher, and also the credibility will be higher, because if your friend tells you, hey, I found this thing and it's really cool, you're more likely to listen than if Kim Kardashian West, who has however many million followers, is saying, I really like XYZ. I don't know, maybe I listen, maybe I don't, but I don't know her and she's probably getting paid. So,
right.
It's a little bit different. So I think when you look at the influencers, we're like really talking about, I think there's value in both types for sure.
Yeah.
But we're really looking at the micro influencers.
Oh, sure. In your own journey from, let's say, company to company, or even what you're doing now, were there times where you were apprehensive about taking a step into something new? And when you hit fear, how do you move past it?
So a couple of ways. I mean, I think anytime you're going to a new position, there's always, you get a little nervous before you get in there, like, oh, I hope I can do everything, because you want to make a good impression. Even if it's something that, okay, I've done this before. It's like almost the same job, just different company. But there's always some element that's a little bit different. It's a different market. It's a different group of people. It's a different budget or team or whatever. Yeah. So I think there's always some of that. But I think for me, the way I get over it, there are two things. So one is to just remember, also look back on your body of work, because there are a ton of things that you always have to do something for the first time before you're an expert at it. And obviously you figured it out and you got better at it and hopefully got to some place of success with it. So it's like that with anything. It's never going to be harder than maybe your first day. You're never going to be no less than on your first day. Yeah. So each day you're always going to be a little bit smarter and a little bit better. And that you have figured out hard problems before, and you've tackled some of these same issues before. It's just putting a different spin on it, which can make it exciting too. Because, it's good to challenge yourself. The other thing I try to remind myself too, I think earlier in my career, sitting in on some meetings and so forth, and talking through some tough issues, you always get like the few people who seem so confident and sure and, giving their opinions on things. And I remember not always speaking up sometimes in some of those meetings, because I was thinking maybe this, but I don't really know for sure. It's just a hunch, or this is my sense of where things are going, and not speaking up, and then realizing later, oh, I was right about that. And those other people, they don't know either. Everybody's just guessing. You're just using your best judgment and your best experience and giving it your best guess and putting your idea out there. Not necessarily that it's right or wrong, but at least putting it out there for discussion. So I think part of it too is just remembering that in most cases, there isn't one right answer or one wrong answer. Everything is just shades of gray. Probably more than 50, but lots of shades of gray. And, you just have to, you don't necessarily know less than the person who's just speaking confidently and loudly. So get your opinion out there.
Yeah. So I have to ask, please tell me about Circus Star USA and what made you get involved in that, and what is that about?
So Circus Star USA is we say it's a nationwide competition for up-and-coming artists, but we do have people internationally joining this year. We've got some people from the UK, Taiwan and Russia, and I can't remember where else, all over the US as well. Because I started sort of my aerial circus journey back in 2011, for the first couple of years, I was just a student and just training and really enjoying it. But having the business and marketing background that I do, I started to get involved in the marketing and business side of things because somehow I don't know, I just end up doing that. So this was something where the woman who runs my studio, her name is Jessica Picos,